Do you realize that in most of the settings that we're growing up, when your mom calls you the first time, you won't answer. The second time you would answer, and then when she shouts, automatically answer, yes, ma, and you run and go and meet her. Why is that? Hello, healthy moms. Welcome to Inyango. On this page, we talk all things motherhood from tips and tricks to hacks to personal experiences to help you make motherhood easy. Just a bit easy because motherhood is hard. I can testify, it's hard. So, today I'll be telling you 3 reasons why yelling doesn't work. And if you want your motherhood journey to be a bit easy and just save yourself the headaches, then maybe yelling is what you shouldn't be doing, right? So, the first reason why yelling is not a good option to correcting your child or to getting your child to do something that you want them to do is the fact that it's ineffective. You might feel like, oh, by shouting, because for example, like the case of our moms who used to call us the first time to the calm voice and the second time with the calm voice and we didn't hear, and then when they shout, we actually act. They feel like, okay, the way to get them to act is to shout. It's not effective because you realize that if you're correcting a child by shouting, you have to do it over and over and over and over again. And then at the end of the day, the child either starts doing that thing because they know that if you've shouted too much and they don't get it, you beat them, or you threaten them to beat them. So they finally do what you want them to do out of fear and not out of them logically thinking that that is the right thing to do. And it goes deeper than this because once as you make a child to do something out of fear and not understanding the main reason why they have to do that kind of thing, they don't feel in control. They don't feel in control. And if you're trying to raise a human being or a person who can take the right decision for his or herself when you're not there, then you need to let them to be able to understand the decisions which they are making, understand why they are taking different actions, and it's going to help them in future. So yelling is ineffective and you should try doing something else, which I'll explain at the end of this video. So if you want to get it, just stick with me to the end. The second reason is when you start to yell, to talk to your children by yelling, it's only going to mean that for the rest of your life as a mother, you're going to be yelling most of the time. It explains it, right? Most of our mothers like to shout a lot because they started the journey by when we don't do things, they'll shout at us and scream at the top of their voices, and then we'll do the things. And the next time they want us to do that thing, if they say it in a calm voice, we feel like they're not serious. As such, we wait for them to shout before we take action, which made it like a circle. So you talk calmly, I don't hear, you have to shout. So you just continue shouting and shouting. At the end of the day, your kids are like, my mom really likes to shout. She talks a lot, she shouts a lot. Because now when you talk in a calm voice, they don't take you seriously. There are people who talk in a very, very calm voice, but you know that they are not joking. If you watch Nigerian movies, Pet Odoche is a good example. He doesn't need to raise his voice, but you know that he's going to do you something as he's talking calmly like that. So let's try to be in that kind of way. There is no need for you to be shouting and disturbing yourself because a lot of shouting gets you at the point that when you're getting to bed, you're tired, you'll have headaches and all that. So let's try some of the things which I'll explain at the end of this video. Now, the third reason is shouting yelling at our children teaches our children to yell when they want something, or when they want to show people that they are serious, they end up yelling too because children model us a lot. The sad thing is when they start going to school and going to other places and interacting with other people, their attitude might also be affected by the kids they meet in school, their teachers and all. But the primary people that they spend a lot of time with is us. And if they go to school and their teachers are shouting and then they come back home and when the parents are serious, they don't actually shout at them and they talk to them, then they understand that, okay, maybe I don't need to shout all the time because first your children are going to copy you. They're going to copy you first before they copy anybody out there. So if you want your children to be responsible people and for them to know that you don't have to scream at someone, because most of the people you're going to be meeting in your life are either your age group or adults. You don't have to scream at anyone for them to get you. You really don't have to do that because once you start that partying, it's going to be you having to scream most of the time for them to get you. So don't teach your children that they have to yell by you yelling at them. Now, what do you do instead of yelling? So I want to try to tell you this, explain to you what works better with something that happened recently this week in my home. with me and my girl, because with her she's a typical example, because with her immediately you shout even a little she starts to cry, and for her to go down on that crying you have to start begging her, and then it's just a long roller coaster of things. So she it's like she just recently in the past few months noticed the feeling of hunger. So now even when she's thirsty she'll tell you, mommy, I'm hungry, and she's rubbing her tummy. So she has this tendency of waking up at 4 a.m. and then starts to cry that she's so hungry. And sometimes we'll just ignore her. But I decided to try another method this week with her. So this week, on the days that she got up and I was preparing their breakfast, and she started crying and trying to hit places, because when she starts crying and we don't come, she'll start hitting her door and doing all sorts of stuff. So on the first day that I tried this, when she woke up and she started crying, I went to her room and I was like, Eleanor. She said, yes, mommy. Are you okay? She said, yes, mommy. I'm so hungry. And I was like, what do you want? She said she wants some water. So I told her, it's already almost morning and I'm still making their breakfast. Let me just finish with their breakfast. I'll come and give her water and I'll bake them, okay? She first of all did as if she wanted to grumble, and then I was like, I promise, I'm going to bring your water soon. I'm almost done with your breakfast. Just wait for me. Give me like 5 more minutes, okay? I was like, is 5 more minutes okay? She said, no, I want 1 minute. I said, okay, 1 minute. And I left her room. She stopped crying, lied on her bed, and waited for me until I was done with breakfast. Like, came, opened the door, gave her water. And I was in awe because I was like, okay, so I can actually explain to her and she stays quiet instead of the shouting. I was like, wow. So on Thursday, breaking Friday, instead of her waking up at 4 a.m., she woke up. She woke up at 3 and she started crying seriously. I'm so hungry. And at that point, I could get pissed because I was working. I'd been working for most part of the night. And then I was trying to catch some rest before I have to wake up and give them a shower. And then she starts crying. So I went to her room with my blanket. So it was really cool. So I just wrapped my blanket on my body and I went to her room. Immediately I got to her door, I was like, you know, what is it? She said, I'm so hungry. I was like, what do you want? She said she wants some water. And I was like, okay, I'm taking a risk today, because opening her door at that time, there is a tendency that she might not come out and she might want you to sleep in her room with her. But I was like, okay, I'll try another approach today and not get angry with her, and try the approach that I tried the other day. So I get into this little lady's room and I give her water. She drinks her water, and immediately she saw me enter and I was holding my blanket. She's like, mommy, are you coming to sleep with me? And I told her, no, I'm sorry, I can't sleep with you. It's 3 a.m. Look outside. It's still dark. I can't sleep with you, okay? She grumbled and she was like, okay. And I gave her water. When I was about to leave, she was like, she doesn't want me to close her door. Like, she leave these kids, their doors open. Though you want to get up in the morning, the whole place is upside down. So I told her, explained to her that I can't leave her door open because it's still dark outside and her brother is still sleeping and I am going to sleep as well, so I cannot leave her door open. She grumbled a bit and I was like, there's one thing she's afraid of. I had to use it on her because I needed her to sleep back, and I said, I'm trying to clean the house with the vacuum cleaner, and if I leave your door open, the vacuum cleaner is going to come in here. So I have to close your door, okay? She still grumbled and I was like, okay, let me just close your door. Now, you lie on your bed and you rest, and in 30 minutes I'll come back for you and I'll bathe you and we go and make breakfast together, and then we would play. She was like, okay, okay. Then she accepted and then she lied on her bed and I was like, good night. She said good night. According to her, she knew it was still night. But I feel that talking to our children, explaining to them better, or explaining to them the situation, let them understand why you're doing something. Even for 4 years old, 5 years old, they understand. And it's a better approach and a very sustainable approach. Yes, it might take time to do that than when you have to shout, but it's just a few more minutes. And this is actually an approach that is sustainable. It's something that works, and it teaches the children that, oh, my mommy doesn't have to shout at me for me to listen. I'm doing this because I have understood the reason for which she's saying that I should do it, and that's why I'm doing it. I'm not doing it because she's forcing me to do it. I'm not doing it out of fear, but I'm doing it because I've understood that this and this is what is going on, and I have to do it. right? It makes them to feel in control. It makes them to trust themselves more because it feels like they are the ones who are taking that decision for themselves, and it makes them to grow up to be more responsible people. So please, let's cut up with the yelling. Though yes, there are times which you just lose it and shout, right? I always drop this point when I talk because we are not perfect. As mothers, there are days which we would go overboard. But for most of the time, remind yourself that yelling isn't sustainable. Yelling will teach my child to yell as well, and yelling will make me to yell all my life, and that is not the kind of life I want to live. So you can actually communicate with them in a calmer method, taking your time to explain to them because they are human beings too who have rights and need to be respected, and make them to know that the decisions which they are making or the things which they are deciding to do is because they have understood the reason why they are doing it and not because you're forcing it on them or because they are doing it out of fear. I hope this video helped you to kind of get a perspective of a better way to get your kids to do things and a way to get your kids to not ignore you. Right? So please let's reduce the yelling. Let's start one step at a time. I won't say just stop yelling because most of us have been programmed to yell. Let's try a day without yelling or 30 minutes of you being with your kids in one place without yelling, and then increase it gradually to an hour. You could maybe do it as a game in your home if you have older kids and tell the older kids that every time you see me yelling, I'll give you 500 francs. Because by the time you give 10 500 francs for a Cameroonian or you give 10 500 naira, I bet you won't yell as much anymore. So you can do it like that and have somebody hold you accountable. But yelling isn't an effective or a sustainable solution. So please, let's kick it out until what works better. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new here, do not forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with somebody whom you know needs it. A lot of us mothers shout, so just share it with all your friends and moms, right? And thank you so much for joining. If you're old, let's keep raising healthy, wealthy, and exemplary moms. Thank you so much for joining. See you next week on our next video. I'm having a hard time figuring out what day works best for Inyango, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. When I do, we'll have a video every week. I've not yet decided on the day. Thank you for joining and thank you for always being here. Have a beautiful day. Bye.